Time to gladly share with you another devotional. This one comes not by me. This is from Pastor Eric Geiger from Mariners. Shared something that I want to share with you. It's an experience he had in a Greek class that left him in awe of how God is our Father. J.I. Packer wrote that the heart of the New Testament is the glorious news that God has adopted us as children through Christ. He stated, "You sum up the whole New Testament religion if you describe it as knowledge of God as one's Holy Father. If you want to judge how well a person understands Christianity, find out how much he makes of the thought of being God's child and having God as his Father." Eric Geiger attended a college at a public university, and one of the languages that you could study was Koine Greek, which is the language that the New Testament is written in. A retired elderly Presbyterian pastor and seminary professor was the instructor, and he was pretty amazing. He was great. There were 4 or 5 in the class, and they sat around a table and they learned Greek. In the books of the New Testament, they were given an assignment was to translate several books, and that was their classwork. And one was to work their way through the book of 1 John, which is just so fundamental to do that. They came to 1 John 3:1. "See what great love the Father has given us, that we should be called God's children, and that is what we are." That's our verse for today. See what great love the Father has given us, that we should be called God's children, and that is what we are. The professor was reading and translating aloud from the Greek, and when he got to the last phrase in the verse, he started crying as he's reading in Greek, and he repeated kai esmen several times. Kai esmen, kai esmen, kai esmen. And the phrase is simply translated, "and that is what we are," or simpler, "and we are." He told the class, "You are not merely called a child of this Father, you are one." And he closed the Greek New Testament and dismissed the class. And he remembered being in awe of how much that teacher was in awe of the good news. And he was, just like Packer wrote, making much of the thought of being God's child. Eric Geiger went to his truck and pondered the beauty of that class, and we are not merely called children of God as if it's a label that is not our true identity. We are actually his sons and daughters. We all have been called things that are not true of us. By some frustrated drivers, I have been called names that are not true about me. I've done that. There are people who buy doctorate degrees online so they can be called a doctor, but the title they purchased is incongruent with the truth. There is often a disconnect between the title and the truth, between the label and the reality. But the title, Child of God, is more than a title. It is a truth for those of us who have received Jesus. We are children of God because God chose to lavish his great love on us, prove his love by sending Jesus to die in our place and adopt us into his family. When I read this devotional, I was sitting in my car, and it brought me to tears because I know how I feel about not only being called God's child, but actually being his child. So be blessed, dear children. Kai esmen.